Seth Jarvis, wondering if you could give me a word to describe what this Carolina Hurricanes season has been like to this point.
Adversity, I think, would be a good one. We've been through a lot of ups and downs so far. We're kind of finally figured it out and coming up on the upswing, but we had a tough little go there for a while.
So Rod Brindamore and company have set the bar really high in terms of expectations for this team, but for the last couple regular seasons, it's kind of mostly been smooth sailing. You mentioned the adversity that you guys got a taste of, especially the first couple months of the season. How do you think you guys handled that?
I mean, it's been tough. I think, like you said, it's been smooth sailing. So for me, since I've been here, we've been always really good in the regular season. Never really had many hiccups. So this is new for me. So it's a learning experience. It's not that I've never really been on a team where I've lost as much as we did for that short amount of time. So it was tough. It was fun. It was hard. You learn a lot about yourself, learn a lot about the group you have. And I think we came out a lot better for it. I think it's obviously better to go through that kind of stuff earlier in the season than later. But I think it made us stronger and brought us closer together as a group.
Do you think there's been a difference in the last couple weeks? Is it as simple as, obviously there's a team effort, but you get some saves as well that might have helped put you guys in a different direction? Or do you think you're playing the same? What's changed?
I think it's more desperation. I think you lose all those games. Our division's so tight, the league's so good that everything kind of switches so quickly that we kind of fall behind the eight ball a little bit. So it's been a whole lot of desperation to kind of claw our way back into where we are now. And I think as long as we don't lose that, I'm pretty sure we'll be all right to finish it out.
All right, I want to ask you about your path to the NHL. You get picked in 2020. You get cut from the World Junior team that year. And the next season, you're a full-time NHLer. How did you make the jump at such a young age?
Yeah. I mean, I as much as I don't want to credit, I think I got to credit a lot of that to getting cut. That sucked. That was the first I've ever been cut from a team in my life, and for the World Juniors, that's something every Canadian kid grows up dreaming to play in. And I went into that camp I think it was right after the draft, so you're pretty confident in yourself. You just got drafted high, like whatever, you come in there and didn't play as well as I should have, and probably deserved to get cut. And so that feeling, I remember calling my parents right when I got cut, and I've never felt so, I don't want to say bad for myself, but I wasn't happy with myself especially, and that kind of just turned into a whole lot of motivation, a whole lot of kind of putting my head down. I stopped thinking about the draft. I stopped thinking about anything else other than just getting better every day, and it translated into doing good and being able to make the Canes.
Did you watch the World Junior that year?
Yeah, I mean, I had friends in it, so I felt like I had to watch. It was obviously a lot harder to watch, but I tuned in.
So you allow that to fuel you, and kind of take me back to, it sounds like we are still kind of living in it or not just beyond it, but it's a weird year pandemic-wise, the draft, everything's kind of turned upside down. The calendar, your training camp for the Canes was in January. Like, how odd of a process was that for you, just kind of going through all that at the same time?
Yeah, it was super strange. Like you said, I was doing the draft in my living room on my couch. Like, that's something that never happened before, so it was a little bit different. Then training camp here, and then I went and played in the AHL at 18 for 9 games. I was there for a month, and then back to the WHL for 20 games, and then all of a sudden the season's over, and you feel like you barely played, but it was just a lot of things happened really quickly.
So you mentioned your kind of quick stint in the AHL, and that was the only handful of games that you've played. Why do you think you were able to translate your game to the NHL?
I mean, a lot of that has to do with being able to play in the AHL at such a young age. You kind of get a feel for, you can train with pros all you want in the summer, and that helps, but you never really know what it's like until you get into a game situation, a real game. And so playing those 9 games, I think, really opened my eyes to what I need to work on, what I need to adapt to, because the AHL, those are big guys. It's like the NHL. There's big, fast, skilled. So to be able to play in there and do well and being able to survive kind of gave me the confidence to think, okay, I can make the jump to the next level. And I think I was a little bit more ahead than I thought I was. I thought I needed a lot more work, and I was able to kind of make the jump a little quicker.
So you take the confidence that you got from that. Is there anything else that you took from the game itself that you were like, hey, you know what? This is one thing I need to get better at this summer?
working with bigger people. You play junior. Well, by the time you're kind of in your second, third year, you've already got it figured out. You're a little more old. You're older than about half the league, so it's a little bit easier. But in the AHL, it was a whole different animal. I was playing against like guys like Cody McLeod. I think it was my first game, and those are mutants, guys that are coming to hit you, coming to do some damage. So it was just adapting to that and getting used to the pace.
So you get a taste of the NHL, you jump in as a rookie and have a great rookie year. And then last year, you play the full 82 game season, and just purely looking at numbers, like I know you took on more responsibility, more ice time. Some would look at the numbers and say, hey, you kind of took a little bit of a step back last year. A lot of people say, Seth, the second year in the NHL is the hardest. You feel that's the case? Like what was different for you last year as opposed to your rookie year?
I think it was like the league's always adapting, so there's so much video and so much scouting out there that I think my first year I kind of, like you said, came in under the radar a little bit. No one really knew who I was, what I was about, so it was kind of easier for me to surprise teams maybe with speed or just in my game in general. They didn't really know what I brought to the table, and I think the second year you play a whole year in the NHL. By that time, they're going to figure out what you're about, what your strengths are, where you can take advantage of you. So I think the league adapted, and I'm not saying teams are scouting me out of everybody, but they have an idea of what I bring to the table, and so make it a little bit harder for me. And it was just about adapting my game again, like I had to do in the AHL. It was just the same kind of thing like last year, just figuring out why what I'm doing is not working, why it's not producing, and then adapt from there.
So this year you've got a bit of a breakout year. You're already kind of touching the numbers that you were your first couple years, and we're only halfway through the season. Your ice time is way up. You're being asked to do a lot more. What did you adapt to? Like, what did you figure out when you went back to the drawing board last summer to say, hey, this is an area I need to improve in? And more than that, who do you rely on? Who do you lean on for help in those situations? Or is it just something you figure out on your own?
Yeah, it was tough. There was a lot of stuff I wanted to work on. I think the biggest thing for me was I've always been a fast player and just going a million miles an hour at all times. And I think you see some of the best players, they're not flying all the time. They're kind of reading the play, gaining speed, changing their speed. And I think that makes it hard for defenders and opposing teams to kind of control them. And that's why guys are so good. Like you see McDavid with his bursts of speed, stuff like that. So I think that was something I really wanted to focus on, was not having to fly 24/7, be able to maintain my speed, change, and maybe catch people sleeping a little bit. And I mean, a lot of it was the people I work with in the summer. I work with my brother a lot. He's a skills coach, so he's someone that during the season I can text. I know he's not going to sugarcoat anything or he's not going to beat around the bush. He's going to be straight with me, and that's something I really appreciate and something that I really needed.
In a league that sort of is continually pushing for speed, is it hard to maybe dial it back, knowing that the point is here to be an impact player, not just necessarily to fly around?
Yeah, it is. It's tough it was tough for me to almost wrap my head around not flying all the time and not wanting to push the pace. But there's a time and place for everything. Obviously, the league is getting faster, so you need that speed, but you don't need to be flying all the time.
So I want to take you back to Winnipeg. I read a great story in the Winnipeg Sun from with your parents, and they said that at some point in your room they had found a whiteboard that was tucked between two bookshelves. And some of the writing on it was faded, but you had sort of mapped out some goals. And one of them was, this is from when you were a kid, and one of them was the NHL, and it was circled. When you're at this point now, living out your dream, first off, do you ever have to pinch yourself? And second, what were you thinking? How old were you when you started to jot down some of these goals?
Yeah, I do have to pinch myself sometimes. I think it's pretty easy though. Like I come to the rink, I see Burnsy. That guy's a legend. He's been in the league forever. So it's kind of cool to come in here and hang around with those guys and realize that you are an NHL player. And it's part of your life now. But I was probably 8 or 9, I think, when all that was going on. I don't know what I was thinking, but I obviously had a plan in mind, and it's never wavered. And now that I'm here, I just hope I make that 8 or 9-year-old Seth proud.
Well, no doubt you're doing that, and your parents as well. When you write down goals like that, When did you think that this might actually be a possibility? Like, at what age did you really start to push and think about that?
Well, apparently 8 or 9. Whenever I wrote that down, I was considering it, but I don't know. I think maybe when I was like 16, 17, I think in my first year in the WHL, going into that, obviously you have goals and aspirations of making the NHL, but when you make that jump to the next level and you start to have success, then you kind of think, okay, what's next? What's the next level? And that was kind of when I started cluing in. And I think I always took it seriously. I'd never really had another plan. I never really had another option other than make it to the NHL. But I think that's when it started to really come to light that it might be a possibility.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. If I were to hand you a whiteboard now and you were to write down some goals for the next number of years, give me one that you'd put on there.
Oh,
it's apparently not to be an NHL All-Star.
Well, that's a whole different scenario. That one, I want to earn that, right? I want to earn that one. I don't want to be voted in on that. Yeah, I mean, for hockey-wise, I guess, yeah, the only goal I have in mind is win the Stanley Cup. That's kind of what we're trying to do here in Carolina, and that's all my focus is on right now.
Give me a life goal.
Be a good person. I want people, when I leave here, I don't want people to think, oh, he was just a good hockey player. I want people to think, oh, he's a great person, first and foremost.
Love that. All right, Seth, we're going to wrap up with a little rapid fire. I got a list of questions here. Short answers, keep them short. So, rapid fire, what is a sneaky good thing about playing in Carolina? You can't say the fans.
The weather.
Are you a golfer?
Yeah, I'm a golfer. You can good golf down here too.
Do you play golf during the season?
Not too much, maybe once or twice, but nothing too crazy.
What's your handicap?
Oh no, I get heat all the time. I don't really keep a handicap, but
are you a sandbagger?
That's what they like to think. I play at around a 4 or 5.
And where would that stack up on the Carolina Hurricanes?
Probably top 10, maybe. Something there. We got some really good golfers.
And do they take advantage of the weather?
Some do, yeah. Most guys kind of keep it tight.
Favorite road city?
Winnipeg.
Best restaurant in Winnipeg?
White House. It's a rib place.
And what do they have there?
Ribs. Oh, they're unbelievable.
Is that your favorite food?
Yeah. Well, at home, yeah.
Well, I mean, playing in Carolina, a pretty decent place to get some ribs, too.
I know, yeah. Good barbecue down here, too.
What is your favorite kind of food?
Vegetables and fruit.
Okay, if Don Waddell and Rod Brindamore aren't listening, what's the answer?
I like barbecue, any kind of barbecue.
So what was your outdoor rink setup at home? Did you have one at home? And if not, where was the closest one and how often would you play?
I grew up, there was like my backyard, like a back lane, and then the outdoor rink, so I could throw a football and hit it. I was out there more than probably anyone should be. I had school and stuff going on, didn't matter. I was out there from the moment I got home from school till probably 10 every day, just messing around, screwing around with my buddies and just having fun.
And how many kids would be on the ODR after school? Like, would you have a 30-pack out there all playing at once, free-for-all, or was it organized?
No, well, it's pretty cold in Winnipeg, so a lot of people didn't want to kind of gut it out. But there was probably a good group of like 10 of us that would be out there all the time together.
All right, you mentioned school. Your mom's a teacher, your dad, vice principal or principal. What was the best part about growing up with two educators? Did you get any help at school, or did you get any leeway, or were they always on you to be in school?
Oh, there was always on me to be on school. I wasn't the greatest in school, but the effort was always there. That's all they really cared about.
Seth Jarvis, all about effort. What kind of music do you listen to?
Anything.
Come on, you gotta give me a genre.
Right now, like R&B.
All right. What does Seth Jarvis do away from the rink?
Sleep a lot of sleep, and try to figure out what I'm gonna eat my next meal.
Are you a gamer?
A little bit. I'm not very good, but I try.
And do you bring the games on the road or what?
Oh God, no. If I was good, maybe, but no. I'm just there to talk to people. It's more of a social thing.
Gotcha. All right, we're gonna leave you with this. If you could make one rule change in the NHL, what would it be?
Interview the refs after the game,
Why?
because there's some stuff that needs to be asked sometimes.
Hey, you are preaching to the choir here as someone that's been advocating for a pool reporter forever to be able to ask questions after a game, just like they do in some of the other sports. Seth Jarvis, thanks for being a good sport. Thanks for joining Frankly Speaking.
Sweet. Thank you, Frank.